think that there is, like, humor exists everywhere, you know?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. But
I think, I don't know, this sounds like collegey or something, but, like, yeah, what you just said is yes, yes. Humor can be anywhere. Like, it can be
Right.
everywhere, it can be
Yeah.
anywhere. About anything. And, I mean, isn't it a tool of empowerment? Like, at least self-empowerment?
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe not systemic, but
Right.
it's, like, one way to, like, take back power from something.
Well, and it's, like, self-soothing to, like, vent. Which is what a
Mm.
lot of comedy is. Is, like, bitching. But in, like, a constructive way.
Right, right. Or you just, like, you have a silly personality,
Mm-hmm.
and you can, and people just will listen to you say stuff.
Why are you telling me I have a silly personality?
I said, or if you have a silly personality.
You said you have a silly personality.
I think there's an ellipse before that in the quotation. If you go back into the text and you really look at the author's intent, and I think you can see what he was going for. He or she, I don't know who said it, but
So
we're past it now.
So I have a silly personality, and you're a published author, and that's how this has to go.
Well, I do post on Facebook, so
Yeah,
I'm a published
are an
author.
Shut.
Yeah.
And I post on Instagram, so I'm a comedian. Right?
Awesome. Yes.
That's how it works.
Yeah. You just need a picture of you holding a microphone, and you just tell people you're a comedian. That's all you got to do.
Basically.
Like, oh god, this is kind of like old news, but have you ever heard of Dan Ninen? He's a stand-up comedian who he currently makes like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Who he would call to shows and say he was the opener for a headliner, and he would just lie his way into shows.
Ugh.
And that's how he started his career, and then he started doing, and now he just does like corporate gigs that pay him like $100,000. But that's literally what Dan Ninen did. It's like he just posted about being a comedian, but never was actually one, and then somehow
And
cheated
like
his
wedged
way.
his way in, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He would just call the thing and say, "Oh, so and so told me when should I arrive?" He just act like he was the opener for
But
the
that's
person's show.
irritating. But it worked.
I think he got banned from places. I mean, I think you can only do that once at one place.
Mhm.
Like, but he did it several places, and then he had credits that he could reference and say,
Right.
"Look, I did a show at this place.
Yeah.
I did this show."
Yeah. Well, it does all seem very, like, culture heavy, like, oh, well, all the comedians get their start here, and you gotta earn your way in, and that all
Right.
sounds, like, very
Fraternal, yes.
Yeah, and, like, that
Very
doesn't sound
boys-
like fun.
Very boys club,
Yeah, or
for sure.
in...
Legacy.
Legacy is probably the right word. And that's kind of frustrating and irritating, but also...
Not boys club. Good old boys. Like, they're the good old boy. Like, they're in the gang or what. Like, that's what I meant. Not the
Yeah, like-
boys
like-
club.
Yeah, but like earned their spot or something. But that's just a very, in general, toxic way of viewing talent, and like what people have to offer, because you can have a lot to offer without like having longevity at a place.
I honestly, I want to say that I haven't watched much comedy recently, but also I don't find a lot of current comedians funny. I try to watch some current comedy, and they're not. I think I don't know how to describe it, but like you said, like complaining,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a big part of like what people do as comedy. Which just seems very like it just comes across as like you come across as like a cynical.
It's isolating.
Dark.
You're like isolating the audience, because if they don't know what you're talking about and they don't want to listen to that, then they're gonna stop listening.
Right.
And there's like a different. Yeah, I don't like it either. I honestly really don't like the complaining. Like, it, that's like when I was in Memphis. When I would go, I got so tired of. It was like, I told you, it was like white guys that are like, girls don't like me, and I don't like my job, and it's like,
and people
yeah,
suck.
and I'm like, well, okay, well, that all seems pretty ordinary. Like,
Yes.
that's a pretty common experience, is that someone unrequited love and difficulty fitting in and difficulty finding the means to achieve something you want to achieve is pretty much how everyone feels. I mean, I'm not saying it's not unique, but it's like, I would like you to push just a little more in trying to like.
But that's not entertaining. Like, being,
Yeah.
I don't want to be reminded.
Your audience doesn't want that. Yeah.
I don't want to be reminded of how shitty things are.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
So that's
want
why
that.
I was like, okay, first of all, I don't find this appealing because I don't. You're talking about your world. You're not talking about anyone else's. And secondly, it doesn't sound like you put a lot of stock in or investing in the solution of any of this for your own good. And so, and if you're doing this every Thursday night, stand-up comedy, open mic night every Thursday, and you're telling the same joke for 6 months, the curb appeal is gone because you're just not
Right.
involved. You're just using, yeah. You
Right,
get it.
right. You're at, dude. That's such a sad. The guy that goes up there and he's been doing the same 5 minutes for 6 months straight, or maybe even years, like, and he just, oh gosh, luckily I don't like know names that I would accidentally call people out, but like I've seen those people.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's like, yeah, the first time you see him, you chuckle, and then the second time you like, it's cringe. It's
yeah.
it's
Yeah, and then the third time you're
uncomfortable.
like, even,
You're like pissed off at
yeah,
that
like
point.
curse words wouldn't help this, I promise. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also don't like when comedy is like dependent on vulgarity and like hot topics, and then like like pushing the coin like the other direction, we've heard all these.
I've been thinking revenge, but I haven't had any venge yet.
Yeah.
I've told you that one.
You
I've
have-
said that one.
Yeah, but
It doesn't mean
you can get some
anything.
Venge. They have it at the store.
Yeah.
But they only sell it in an 8-pack for
And then-
$4.15,
yeah.
and then but you can get the other brand Newt for like $3.89, and they give you 12.
I thought you were gonna go Father of the Bride and say it comes in an 8-pack, but then the Venge buns that you put the Venge in come in a 6-pack.
So then you're just so
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta buy 4 things of hot dogs to get and 6
But they
things
don't
of
sell them
buns.
in 6. Yeah. But what you can do is cut out carbs in your diet, so then you don't have to have any buns to accompany the Venge. Just eat the Venge without like a whole bun. That's what's wrong with America, is everyone wants to add sugar and bread and carbs to their Venge.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what this podcast and show is going to be about. It's about traveling around the world and going to other places and learning about the cuisine, and then telling them healthier ways to eat the food there.
Okay, so you go to indigenous people.
Mm-hmm.
You go to where they live.
Well, we have people that research it before we go.
Okay, but you go and you teach them how to cook better food. That's amazing. You teach them how to live better.
Yeah, because they need help.
Right, because they're not American.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so wonderful of you to
Well, it
do
wasn't
that for
my
them.
idea. Someone came to me with it.
Okay.
And I mean, I only agreed to do it if I could put my name on the executive, like, producer credits line. So,
Wow.
but I,
It's a lot of detail.
But I've really changed my perspective, and now I'm really happy to be a part of the project. It's a really great project.
Okay. And this is because this is you're rehabbing your image because of that traffic thing, that accident that you did, or it sounds like you're trying to make up
People
for like
always
a
want
dark
to bring
past.
that up in interviews.
Well, we just met. I mean, I actually, I'm not. I mean, this is just what I do. I interview people. I'm Joe Rogan, and I'm just I listen to people.
And then you sell. You have the unmitigated confidence to sell a bottle of brain power.
What the fuck is brain power? What is
Joe
that?
Rogan sells something that's called like brain power.
Amazing.
It's
Brain power.
Yeah, and
It's got like peppermint in it.
it's like,
What does it have?
well, I haven't researched it because I don't want to fuck up my algorithm on my phone. Because if I do that, then if I so much as even searched for anything Joe Rogan related, it'll be over after that, and I can't afford to have that on my mobile device. But anyway, yeah, I guess he's like selling like it's like comparable to like protein powder or like a vitamin that you take.
It will kill the coronavirus. Brain power.
Yes.
Buy it now.
Yes.
That's what he says.
And if you don't believe in the coronavirus, you can still buy it.
Exactly. Even better.
Right.
It'll kill the thoughts of the coronavirus being real.
Exactly.
Because it's brain power. It's
right.
It's I want to call it brain powder.
I know.
It's
right?
brain powder. Is it a powder that comes in a bucket?
Well,
you don't know anything about it, so I don't know why I'm asking.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't want to be rude, but I.
But what is
just told you.
Tell me about this thing.
That's like
that
when
you're
people are
doing.
like they come in and they ask you what the movie's about, and like.
What's gonna happen?
I just started watching it myself. I don't know. Like, well, so now who are these people?
What does he want?
Yeah. But I also, on the other hand, I've become that person because I've been trying to watch more like movies, and so now I'm the person that's like, can you help me? Like, what's going on? Who are? Because
I love it.
I don't really like watching movies because I can never keep track of anything. Does that make me a bimbo?
No, it's your features that make you a bimbo, but you're an attractive woman, so that's the main part. But anyway, you don't watch movies. What do you watch? Like you watch
TV
I know
shows.
Road Rules.
Reality TV shows, yeah. Bravo.
Right. Bravo.
I'm currently watching old episodes of The Real World.
I never got that into like much reality TV show. I like Gordon Ramsay, so I like Kitchen Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
That's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, I just have always liked that kind of stuff more than some of the other things.
I mean, no judgment. Like I watched Venom 2. Is that better than reality show? No.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a sequel to the classic film Venom with Tom Hardy. You didn't see that in theaters 3 times? Okay.
But I think what I was getting at, like, is I have a hard time following the different stories. And so even though a reality TV show, majority of it is scripted or like kind of guided, there's a little bit more predictability, but like
sure, there's a
it's
formula.
entertainment. Whereas with movies, I'm like, all right, what are they trying to do here? What's gonna happen to that person later? And then I get so distracted that I can't keep track, and then I'm like 10 minutes into the movie and have only followed one thing. So that kind of happens a lot.
Right. Um, yeah, movies are like more like literature than they are like a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can, uh, like a TV show can't be like incoherent.
Right.
Like it has to be that like it has you have to capture it every episode. It can't be. I mean, you can have
Yeah.
well, you can have an arc going through the
Right.
show, but like each
Mm-hmm.
episode has to be like its own contained thing.
Right.
Whereas like a movie has no priority to make sense.
Yes.
It could be just
Well, and like the efforts to set the scene, and like sometimes I'm like, okay, were they successful and I'm not getting it, or were they just not successful like setting the scene and none of this is making sense, or I like give them way
that's
too much credit. I'm
interesting.
like, wow, gosh, they really did a great job of like telling the story and designing the, the environment, and then it's like, well, it's a film. They're filmmakers. That's
Hmm.
that's what they do.
Yeah, there's supposed to be. There's a lot of bad films though.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what. Did you ever see The Lighthouse? That was an interesting film. It's I guess it's a horror film, but it's about these two guys. It had Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson in it, and they were like on an island on a lighthouse, and they're just stuck there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they just like go mad, like over the court, like they're going crazier, and they're like getting drunker and drunker, and I just found the movie to be like completely like gay undertones, like they were toying with. But anyway, what I'm saying is like, I think like a movie is just like you get out of it whatever you want,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. Whereas like a TV show is like it's kind of telling you what to do, and
Well,
it's like
that's
that's
what I
fine.
want.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
want that. Yeah.
But I also I mean every once in a while I like a movie that it just has to make me think. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
accomplish.
Yeah. So I like the finality of like. And like a movie,
right.
I'm like, how much longer are we gonna be doing this for? Oh my god!
Ugh.
But I've evolved. I used to really feel that way, but now I try to embrace this, just like you're saying, the entertainment value of, or entertainment in general. I try to listen to it for like what is, excuse me, the story and the message, rather than need the like clean lines and parameters as much as I used to need them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and like what we were talking about earlier about concerts, how some people, the not liking the rubbing up against other people's arms and being crowded and all that, and I don't like much of that either. But what I do like about it is you're like in this experience, and it seems and feels very much your experience. Like you're seeing this artist, you're listening to this artist. This artist is performing music, and you get to have a direct experience with it. But then you recognize that everyone else in the room is having a different version of that. And I really like that, because it's like you can be in the same room with all these people and still be experiencing something dramatically different. And it signifies something different for you. And just to know that there's a full room of people and all these feelings are being ignited, like people are moved by by a performance. I really like that environment.
What do you think that means in like the totality of humanity's like history, like gathering for music, like a concert, a band playing for what, like a party or some kind of hall or something, like what is that? What does that mean?
People like to share their talent, and people like to have talent shared with them. And people recognize that they don't know how to do something, but they see someone else knows how to do it, and so that's captivating. Or the other way around.
Okay.
They know how to do it, so they want to go see someone else doing it too, because that means something to them. Like, whether it be like cross comparing or relating. And sometimes it's nice to consume, and so people want to go consume
Like something
like information
being done to you, like something
Yeah.
being, yeah.
like to consume this artist's, whatever
See-
they're putting out.
Okay, see, I get it, but like, I always appreciate art and not art. I always appreciate music like outside of the music. Like, it's like I'll hear music and I'll be like, I like that song. Okay, fine. But then like my appreciation is gained by like what I learn about it. Like I'll look up the lyrics or I'll find something out about the artist or something, like, and that makes me enjoy it more.
Yeah.
But it's like, it doesn't really change for me. It doesn't really change the experience of the actual piece. Like it's just like my thought. I don't know what I'm really saying.
Yeah, but I would say then when you go back a second time, now you have that added feeling.
You're right.
And that's what's exciting.
It's like I'm leaving fingerprints on it.
Exactly. And so, like, or getting to, like, hear a song performed by someone else, but they sound just like the original version. So then you're getting a twofer because you're getting to have your heartstrings, like, strummed because you're hearing a song you already know, but you're also getting to experience this person who's already exhibited so much talent singing it themselves. So you're joyous for them because they're singing a beautiful song, and they probably loved it and they studied it. So now they get to sing it, and that means something to them. And you're getting to consume that very pair of an old classic and then them singing it, or like when someone sings a cover of a song and you have this immediate feeling of like, yeah, that was a great song, it's worth covering, it's a beautiful song. And so wondering what the other person felt when they heard it, those are all things that
No, you're getting me thinking about covers and stuff. Covers I've heard. That's very insightful.
But then on the other hand, other people would just be like, they're just stealing someone's music. You know?
Yeah, that's meant to happen, I think. People don't make music for no one else to play it.
Right.
Like,
or the
I get to
whole
play
theory,
it.
like, what if all the music was used up?
If we ran out of combinations of melodies and I mean that's another thing about music is like I don't really like music nerds. They kind of I don't know. They kind of I'm trying to find the right word. It's not ingratiate. It's like the opposite of ingratiate. Like they're grating. I find music nerdery to be grating.
Yeah, I feel like when I've been saying that for years, but when people are like, that's the album, nope, that album came out in 1978 because I had it, and I'm like, let me stop you there, please. I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Like you're not
No.
not a more profound individual because you can read the year that an album was made and you can repeat it. That's not valuable information. I'll figure that stuff out on my own. I'd like to talk to you about the actual song. But there are people who they're like that's like their identity is like knowing albums. But I don't know. I mean, but my identity, I guess if we're gonna call it that, is just knowing. Like, I just could tell you who most of the people are. Like, I can hear the song and tell you who it is, but I don't need to rattle off. Like the like
right.
the grammar, yeah, like the
granular
right, like
details of everything and just
that were readily available to anyone and everyone all the time.
And yeah, and it's just like these people are like missing the forest from the trees. They're looking at the details and they don't see. Like they don't want to. I think those people don't want to talk about like something deeper. They don't want to talk. They just want to talk about something. These superficial details.
Or another thing I've observed is people number one, that's how they learn, so they actually really do want those details. They don't necessarily add the significance to the detail yet, but they just want it in their pocket. Like, I need to know that information, because later if I'm going to be asking something, I can regurgitate it, and that'll make me better.
Yes.
And those people I find to be the worst. But anyway,
but they're not the worst.
But
they're
eventually, no, they're just terrible. But eventually they will use it, and they will take it, and like, it does signify something to them, but not at first. They just needed it. Like, I'm repeating myself basically, but they just needed it in their pocket so that if someone ever asked them, they could be knowledgeable on the subject, and then add, like that they add something to it. This has happened to me one too many times.
You just ask
and
them.
I'm like, why don't you just listen to what I'm saying, and why don't we actually talk, rather than you just lobbying, or if it's not lobbying, volleying facts at me about a subject that if I brought it up, I probably already know some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, you didn't bring anything to the table just because you brought
or like a follow-up
nugget of information.
Yeah, you need a follow-up with the nugget of
the like
you need to say
the
something
edgy
about that.
truth that you're trying to like bring to this subject. You know,
came out in 1978, same year as blah blah blah. I don't know, same year.
Right.
What the fuck? Jimmy Carter invaded Guatemala. I don't know what.
No, that was 1977.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's first album, or whatever.
Oh, I think
I was trying to.
Wall. No, I know. I understand what you're doing.
You're thinking about the wall. Teacher, leave those kids alone. That's not. That's not the wall. That's not the wall.
What? Right?
What's the wall? The fuck is the wall?
No, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. But Michael Jackson, now we're doing exactly what we talked about.
I don't even know what the wall
But Michael
is.
Jackson did have like an album with something, The Wall, in it. And so that's why I was joking with you, like, oh, you're thinking of The Wall.
I'm looking in the man in the wall.
Yes, exactly. And if you want to make the world a better place, just look at yourself and recaulk the wall.
Really?
Yeah.
That's some interesting
how you solve
music.
your problems.
Very interesting lyrics.
Well, I didn't
Apt.
write them.
I didn't say that you wrote them.
I am not. That is not my talent.
You just look at the wall.
And heal the wall, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire facade of this wall.
Damn. I can't think of a song. Sorry.
Well, if you studied songs like I do more often and knew the album dates, then we wouldn't be here.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got me there. You're right. I need to study music. I'm gonna go to the music.
Conservatory.
I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna go to the music school where they teach music and where they practice it. And
isn't that what a conservatory is?
I think that's where they look at stars.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's where Republicans look at stars. Because then it's a lobservatory.
But they all have their own not stethoscope.
Nice.
What are those things called?
A bassoon.
Doctors.
It's a bassoon. That's what
No, what are
you
they?
look through.
The
You're really close.
telescope?
Yes.
Okay, telescope. But each of the Republicans get their own telescope.
Mm.
And they don't share it with anyone else. They just bring it, you can bring it to the conservatory.
Okay. What are they looking at? The Republicans are looking
At the stars.
they're just looking at the stars.
That they put there.
They put there. They just say, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus."
Thank you, Jesus.
And they don't write down anything, and they just look at the stars, saying, "Thank you, Jesus."
And then they come back the next day.
Mm-hmm. That's what Republicans do.
I don't know any Republicans.
Good.
Yeah.
That's the best answer you could have said. I haven't voted for Republican ever. I don't think so.
Same. Yeah.
I can't remember, honestly. I might have, like, jokingly once.
Oh, well, isn't that just so funny?
Ha 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 ha.
You know, some people didn't have the privilege to vote.
I think what's worse is that people don't vote and they have no reason to, and there's no one to vote for. So I don't really think voting matters. I don't.
Yeah.
Did I vote for the Supreme Court? No. But why is the Supreme Court doing shit to me? What? I didn't vote for them. Or what about any judge? Not any judge, but a lot of judges, like federal judges and shit.
Yeah, they're...
I did not vote for those people.
Yeah.
What up with that? Or like police commissioners, are they voted for?
I think they won like a YouTube competition.
Oh,
Like
you could
I
just get
think,
enough likes.
Yeah.
That'd be great if like Clarence Thomas was like he started as a baby on YouTube, and he was just a famous like baby or a young kid on YouTube.
Yeah, and then he gets elected to office. Judicial office, no less.
through YouTube.
Yeah.
Judiciatube.
Judiciary. That's what they study at the conservatory.
That's what we were talking about?
The music concert.
Oh god, I just don't want to talk about music. That's why I swerved.
Well,
Shit, I was talking about people that like do like math equations with music and shit. They're talking about that's what's jiggling. Fuck. They're like, this thing's in 4/4, it's a key A, that's a treble, this is like that kind of like music nerd, like.
Yeah.
Oh god, they're like, you know what? Like, I like Lady Gaga, but she's just a little bit off on her F flat, on her sharps, on her G sharps. I don't know, who gives a fuck? Like,
Right.
like, or people that say they have perfect pitch, and it's like, you're just like a crazy person. Like, I get that you hear notes and you can hear them well or whatever, but that just means you're crazy. You're paying way too much attention to the shit that doesn't matter. That means you're insane. You should be noticing.
I mean, it's like an art, though. They, like, learned that, like, scale, though. But, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, they're, like, it's, like, you're going in way too hard, and I don't speak the same language, and...
I mean, it's just weird. It's weird.
But you're right. It has, like, a tone of, over-analytical, like, meaning, like, that they're applying, like, horoscope or something.
Sorry. Yeah.
Like, I'm a whatever. Yeah,
Right.
you just make a noise, that's all. Your
Exactly.
voice makes a different noise than mine.
I like people with interesting voices. I almost don't enjoy classical voices. Like, people that have perfect pitch, it, like, annoys me. I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't impress me, I guess. It doesn't annoy me. It's just, like, I've heard it so many times. I've heard so many people are the best singer that's ever been, and then 2 years later, there's the best singer that's ever been again. Yeah. And again, and it's like, I don't know. I can't tell the difference. I listen to, like, all these singers, and I'm like, they're great. A+. 100%.
Just like the last one.
Yes, you are perfect, just like the other singer.
No, I'm following what you're saying for sure. I know what you mean. And I don't like how it's like, I don't like watching how much the situation will get pushed further. Like, I don't want to learn any more about how someone became famous this way, or like their music got picked up this way out of nowhere, and this chance happening. So now they're just a clean slate, and now their whole like career is going to be dictated by how much like the media does absorb it, and then they're going to keep replicating that, and then people are going to keep consuming it. And I'm not interested in watching how much that gets pushed to the limit. That's a waste of my time. I don't want to watch that because it's the same pattern every single time. And then people are just so surprised that these artists have identity crises. It's like, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure they never really had an identity, and you just kind of like made it, and now they don't want to be it anymore, and then they're like having a breakdown, or like 6.
You're so right. Like these people
It
are,
just drives me crazy.
they're like mannequins. Like celebrities are like
Yeah.
blank, just shells of people, and
Yeah, or
they
media.
break down.
Yeah, they're just a response to media and projected onto a human being with a voice.
Well, they have, like a celebrity.
Some of them have choices. I'm not saying it's like.
I feel like a celebrity is like just someone who overshares. It's just like you're a professional oversharer.
Yeah.
And everyone is involved in you, is the
And
point.
you get to make money,
Like,
so you get to exaggerate all of the oversharing.
Yeah, it snowballs. It leads to like
Yes.
more crazier situations
Yes.
where you're like
and
on a
then
yacht
where
with
it's
some guy.
consuming
Like,
it. Yes.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like now you have that story.
Yeah. I don't want to watch any of it.
Yeah, of course,
Which is
of
why
course.
I kind of like older music because
I
those identities already played out, and it never really was about their identity. It was more about the music that they made. But that's also kind of like a choice I make by always listening to older stuff. There's some really good music today, though, too. Honestly, there is.
Would you say you're an old soul?
My grandpa always said I was an old soul.
You can't.
But I'm really pretty positive that's because I grew up around them, and so now I just have replicated their values. So then I get to associate with them.
It
And
does.
get to say that I'm an old soul. But that's bullshit. I mean, people really, I just don't like, the old soul can be so cliche.
It just means that you are, you're probably mature for your age. Like you are not for your age, but you are the maturity of your age. Like that means old soul, because like
Right.
so many people are immature of like their age. What like. I mean, literally, you're 31. You should blah blah blah. You should be at this point.
Right.
Like, just as
But
far
I
as
wouldn't
emotional
mind
maturity.
a trade-in. I would take a Benjamin Button version of an old soul because maybe, I don't know, because like what would it have been like to not have to be as mature and like forcefully curious and learning quickly and not, but I don't really mean what I'm saying because I'm happy to be.
Have you seen that movie, Benjamin Button? The
No.
Curse of...
Noi.
Brad Pitt does the worst Louisiana accent I probably have ever heard. He says, "I was born under unusual circumstances."
Right.
And, oh my god, that's how the movie
Does
starts.
it send you over the end?
Oh my
Send
god.
you over the end?
No, it's funny. It's funny to me. There's a little bit. There's a little bit.
Oi was born.
I was born in unusual circumstances. They said it was a birth that we couldn't forget. And he's doing Forrest Gump, but like
Right.
not mental, but like he's just doing
Right.
that kind of accent, and it's like, it's horrible. And it's a 3-hour long movie. So there's like at least 2 hours of Brad Pitt doing this horrible, exaggerated Louisiana accent. And then there's Cate Blanchett, who's like his...
Mom?
Counter. No, they're like the same age.
I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
I think
Cate
what you're
Blanchett
describing,
is great.
which is why I didn't watch it. I think I started it with someone,
It's bad.
and I
It's
was like,
really,
I really
bad.
don't want to watch this. Now that you're
It's-
saying it.
It's really, really bad. Oh, and I think it takes place during Katrina for some reason.
Oh, great.
Because she's on her Cate Blanchett is on her deathbed. That's how the movie starts. So we have
Oh, yeah.
Cate Blanchett overacting with old makeup on. And she's like, "Oh, I knew a hot young thing named
Lord.
Benjamin." And she's in a hospital with like rain. The rain's hitting the window, and they're like, "Okay, hurricane's gonna miss this area, so we can stay here.
Oh.
And it's like,
so they're like igniting
I don't know what the
emotions.
I guess the decision to make it. I believe it is. I might be wrong about this, but I believe it's supposed to be, or I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why this decision is made, but yeah. Anyway, and then we, after 5 minutes of Kate Blanchett overacting, then we have Brad Pitt doing horrible crawfish, hunting him crawfish, and I don't know. Anyway, he's doing that for like 2 hours. It's like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
It sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's for free on YouTube right now. It seriously is.
But I don't watch YouTube. I have to figure out the politicians that I want to vote in on YouTube now. That's the only reason.
Right? That's so great. I love it. I love this idea that YouTube will decide our politicians. The Paul brothers, Jake and Logan. Who the fuck is on YouTube? I don't know anyone actually that's famous from YouTube. Bo Burnham, I mentioned him on the other episode. I was talking.
I think you mean the next episode.
Right.
By
Or
Dr.
whatever.
Dre.
Dr. Dre, 1991.
Yeah, that's the album.
He was.
Yes, that's the album. 2 points for you. I think I wish they could have trivia where like you just had this you could get first of all your trivia team was with people you liked, so I mean you were happy there, and there was like a lot of even, this was a trusted trivia scenario. It wasn't like just come in and like look at stuff on your phone, for 10 minutes. Anyway, so you go to the trivia and your turn would be one of your team members standing up and then like getting rewarded or getting points because how they arrived at their answer was captivating. So like person A at table 1, person A remembered it because their dad had this album and they could always whatever.
But you could like make stuff up. That would suck. Like
no, I don't think it would ever work. But I'm just saying that would be cool.
That would be
if
cool.
It were more like that. Like
I was thinking, how can I cheat?
Yeah, because I feel like there's so many things that like if I could just explain how I was gonna remember it, then people would know that I knew what I was talking about.
Right.
But because I don't have the right answer, like the critical information, all of my knowledge on the subject is.
It's disregarded.
Insignificant and disregarded, right. Because I wasn't able to name the one detail. Now that I'm talking about it, it sounds like I'm like, throw me a bone. But I'm being serious because certain people learn things in a...
No, it's not...
Yeah. You're following what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not even that, though. It's people... You're questioning if someone else is thinking. That's what it is. It's not that they think that you're lying. It's like they don't even think that you're thinking. They think that you have some kind of like, I don't know, like reflex happening, or you have this like misinformation that's pumping out of you, and it's like something's messed up. Your wirings are crossed.
Yeah.
Like that's how people I think sometimes think about other people, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary that people think this. That like, I think that this also like anyway. Shit, I just kind of like steamrolled. What were you talking about?
No, but it's
that you can't explain where the thought came from, and they argue that detail to like invalidate you.
Or the other way, which would be that I'm invalidating myself because I'm like, I know the answer, but because I can't blurt out the like 5-letter word that the question is dictating as the
you're taking you a moment to get there.
Yeah, but I don't think I actually have the words and know the thing that they need to. But I can explain how the trivia relates to the subject and why they would be included, the history of all of it. This is like it's gonna fall into the same category of these 3 things. I just can't think of the word.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not trying. This trivia idea is not to like champion me or advocate for me in trivia. I was just mainly saying that like there's just a little less traffic, like acknowledgement of like how people store information differently, and the value of how when people can explain something different, we can learn in two different ways.
But
and like gain different knowledge different ways from people explaining their train of thought in different ways, rather than
Sure.
always having to only have the one answer. Is what I'm getting
yeah, yes. I was just gonna say that I don't know what the fuck I was gonna say because I forgot. I don't know what I was gonna say. But like when people think, like when people do this thing what I was talking about, this like they don't think you're thinking. It's not about that. It's not that they like what I say is, or what I think is just like, how do you know things? If someone's gonna question like if I know something, how do you know something?
Right. Yeah.
Like, I think if you just ask them a question back, it will just completely disarm them. Like if they won't know how to respond to if you then ask a question. Like if you then question what they're saying. Like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like you just.
But you know what? That's happened so many times in my life where I was talking to someone, and I could see them shut down, and they could no longer provide like in-depth thinking. Like they were just like, it's like their computer shut down. Like they were like, I really don't want to do this. I feel like I'm like, okay, I've been there, so I totally get it. I understand. Like, yeah, hey, I don't want to do a whole bunch of shit. So if you don't want to do this, please, that's fine with me. But fuck, we were in a conversation, and I just thought it would be okay to like answer and dig just a teeny bit deeper here, and like be able to constructively sell you 4 or 5 things that come to mind when we come up with this stuff, rather than just the one, and then have us sit here and talk about this the whole time. So anyway, I'm like basically mansplaining to you conversations, but the thing is that people are like, well, I hadn't thought too much into it, and then I'm like, well, I hadn't actively thought too much into it. I just happen to know this shit, and it's really easy, and you probably know it too. But I'm being critical. I don't actually feel that this happens anymore. It happened when I was younger, though. Like I could.
You were bolder.
I could watch people just like.
Or maybe just less.
Right.
First.
Like this girl's weird. But oh well.
I think. I think people are in crisis. I think a lot of people, like, I don't want to say trigger, because that's a specific thing that means something, and I hate when people use that word, because I don't hate when people, anyway, what the fuck.
It's a misused word most of the time.
It's like obsessed, like what we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
Like, people
Triggered,
don't.
obsessed,
yeah.
Words with double letters.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they're all misused. But I think people are in what I would call, this is like a theory of mine, but they're in this, like, there can be like a low frequency to your life where, like, you go to sleep, you go do this, blah, blah, blah. So that's happening. But then there's also like kind of like a through line down here, and that could be like your anxiety, like going up. Mm-hmm. And it's just in the background, like you go to bed and your anxiety's going up. You wake up the next morning, your anxiety's going up. And then you go to work and your anxiety's going up. Mm-hmm. And then I think some people, like, once you reach a certain height in any emotion, you get into crisis. And so you say something about that, it could be innocuous, but you say something about, like, housing, or you say something about...
Right.
Not even political, but, like, something kind of deep, something referencing a structure, something nearby, or something real.
That has, like, a dark cloud associated to it in this person's world.
Yeah, and that person just,
like,
that's what that glossiness
right.
is like, they're in crisis and they just want to avoid that subject, so they try to get out of it or
Yeah.
whatever. Like they have their response. And
I would agree with you, and I think that people. But again, the argument then can be made even further, which is that the other like parallel to that would be the emotion, and so then you might argue, okay, well, try to manage an uncomfortable feeling in such a manner that you don't have to shut down a conversation. Like, but again, that's me kind of like shaming and like being like, God, why can't people handle things better? And I don't like that feeling. So, but I know that I've observed it enough to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, and so I guess like I'm thinking back to this core memory that's standing out to me right now, which is just that I went to this like no, it wasn't like a fundraising, it was like a nonprofit networking, but it was some sort of awards were being given out, like small businesses or some insignificant shit like that.
the Chamber of Commerce.
It was like that, yeah,
whatever
Chamber
it
of
is.
Commerce.
Yeah.
And that like I had gone to this event by myself, very well knowing that it could go one of two ways, which is like I would run into some people and talk to them, or I wouldn't run into anyone and it would stink being there alone, but I would still be glad I went, and I would I would find the like speaker or the thing that appealed to me, what I sought out by going, I would see it, and that would be fine too. That would make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I always kind of went into those situations like that. So this time around, I did run into one person I knew, and then therefore talked to like 3 other people for a long time, like waiting for the event to start, then kind of during the event, and then afterwards. And I appreciated that I got to talk to these people. Like I appreciate that they embraced me, and then I didn't have to stand alone the whole time. But then on the other hand, by 3 hours, we were all tired of the like intelligent banter. Like all of us were, and me included. I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. I can't do any more like too many of us are trying this at this moment. So again, it's
Sorry.
like back to what you're saying is people are just trying to be themselves and just be present, and we should not be so harsh on each other. But at the same time, it's just so disappointing, and I guess maybe the like kind of snotty little like girl that's gonna cry when she doesn't get her way in me is disappointed when you're really enjoying like talking about this thing in a way that hasn't been talked about before, or a new perspective that you get, and then it's like shut down because it's like this is too much, and I'm like, if you think this is too much, you should be in my brain, because we're going into overdrive on almost every subject.
Oof.
Like 10 times over, like right now.
But I think that's like an advantage of being especially American, is that you can be alone a lot. You can be disconnected from people. Everything's customer service. Everything can be ordered online and delivered to your house. You can just like Zoom call people now, and that's considered meeting them. It's not, but okay, that's an interview. I don't buy that. Like, you interview me over Zoom, that doesn't work. No.
Right, that's fair. Yeah, no, I see where you're going. I mean, there's some beauty to some of it, and there's a lot of people who I also think have not embraced that lifestyle at all. It doesn't work for them, and I mean, some people really reject that.
For sure, but I think that's the dominant lifestyle. I think Americans are very alone.
Well, it's easily
50%
accepted.
of every half of Americans split down the middle.
Half of Americans
The
are
left,
on their computer.
the left
feeding
half
the other
of,
half of the other half of Americans.
one half is feeding the other half of their paycheck, which is going halfway to the half house, and they're not having it.
Yeah, they have to do something different.
That's my slogan, we have to do something different. I'm someone else now. And you gotta be someone else. You gotta take half of you, turn it into something else, a robot or something.
Be different than
that
the other.
feeds the other half of you.
We're all the same.
Right. We're all the same. At least half of us. We're gonna keep the right half.
there's like an applaud track going on in the background from 1980, no, from 1940.
From like 1800.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Bully to you, sir.
There's
What
like
was that?
what's his name in the background. Why is he talking like that? He's been living since 1820. He's 80 years old.
He's
He
one of the.
talks
He's
like
he's
a mysterious animal from God only knows where. But for some reason, he has maintained status in such a way that he gets to be a political leader, even though he's more removed from anyone here in this audience from what an ordinary life would be.
So
But
vote
yet
for me.
somehow, this is the person leading the country.
Vote for me.
Or trying.
Zach Carnegie was born 1812. I was one of the Carnegies. You remember them? I'm still alive.
My grandpa was the second cousin.
I would believe it.
Maid of the Carnegie family. Mhm.
Really?
Mhm.
That's amazing.
We're from Michigan. They were not from Michigan.
I don't know where
they
they're
were from.
I have no idea.
Don't know, don't care.
I don't know.
That's too much, Zach. You're going too far. You're going too deep. Listen,
Yeah.
this is just a fundraising event.
Okay, right.
You're
right,
going
right.
too deep.
Half of
You're
all America.
But
But
making it awkward.
Okay, but what I was saying is true. Is the majority of
Said
Americans
like a true politician. What I was
they
saying
are
is true.
they are alone. Like people
Yeah.
spend a lot of time alone, and I think they feel alone as well. It's not that people aren't around other people. I think Americans just are. They don't have friends. They don't have a network that's holding them together. They don't. Especially a lot of men. I mean, women are obviously left out to dry in many, just like systemic ways. But so, like, people are just alone a lot. And they don't have any kind of network, and there's certainly no one taking care of them. There's no one from the government coming by. There's not a social worker even.
Or there's no like core
would-
community that they're engaging in that's like more about social interaction, less about like a job or a special interest.
Yeah, something they're
And as
forced
we know,
to do.
different communities, like obviously, yeah. Well, I don't disagree with you. I have a strong response to want to say that there are a lot of scenarios where that's not the case, like whatsoever. But I am following that. Yeah, there's.
I'm not saying.
But I
that
think it's
doesn't exist.
I think that people don't question it. They're like, no, this is normal. But there's so much community to be had.
I mean,
and
I
so
think
much value to come from community. But what I like what you said is that, but there's no intervening.
you're talking. But by the way, you're talking about probably specifically immigrant communities. Those are not Americans. They are transitioning to being Americans over generations. But like that's where you find the strongest communities. You see like immigrant communities, and those people are not living the life of like most Americans. Like they are going against the grain, and they do have strong families. They have
Right.
strong communities.
Yeah, but
I agree with you.
But
That exists.
And I'm saying that.
I didn't say they don't exist.
No, I know, but I'm saying that okay. I'm agreeing with you that in the American society, culture, whatever we're going to call it, that people will reach a limit or will reach a moment in their life where a circumstance is such that it's so strong that it's driving the wheel of like, you're alone now. You're totally okay to be alone now. You're the only one feeling this really. You're the one that got yourself into this situation, whether it's good or bad. You're the one that, lives alone in a different state from all of your friends. Or you're a single mom and you have 2 kids, and it's just so that you don't really have a lot of other women in your life that you can talk to about these things. There's somewhere in there where we don't intervene with ourselves and say, oh, you're not alone. You're not tasked with this by yourself. You're not sentenced to a life of this. But people are okay with it just because it doesn't register.
You're right. I don't blame privileged people who choose to be like isolated. I do. I don't blame if you're poor and you're isolated, that's not your choice. But I mean maybe a little bit, but maybe you do kind of suck, but that's an interpersonal thing. But like it's the ideal. It's like if you become middle class, you get the high fence, you get the big yard to keep people away. The big yard doesn't mean anything. It just means that you're far away. Like you don't use the yard for anything interesting. But yeah, you're behind double bolt locked doors in the suburbs. That's so yeah. The goal is to get away from people and to
Right.
be isolated.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, and in it, what I was mostly talking about was like the incidental isolation that we put on like working class people. That it just sucks. I mean, if you're privileged and you're isolated, that sucks. But if in your working class you're isolated, that sucks. Like it's not. I'm not advocating for this at all. Like these, like I said, these people are in crisis. Like
Yeah.
these people are avoiding any conflict and only seeking pleasure, and they hate those who get in the way of their pleasure. They will do anything to you if you get in the way of their pleasure. That's why they're going into that crisis,
Right.
and they're being so hostile, because this isn't pleasurable. I'm pleased. I order food to be delivered. I watch the show that I want, and I get this, and I get this, and I order this online, and it gets delivered, and I go to the store, and this is there.
And now you're interrupting it. Yeah.
You can just seek pleasure.
Right.
That's
you're
it.
right. That's absolutely true.
I'm sorry. I'm just like going off about like
No,
how
I agree.
alone Americans are. It's a crisis. Now I'm Jerry Seinfeld. People are alone.
You
They
got
got
that.
to go outside.
You covered that from another artist.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yes,
I'm just
Jerry
taking
Seinfeld
his.
doing Jerry Seinfeld doing Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh gosh.
Too deep.
Whoa! You just like broke everything.
I did.
And, okay, I think we can like, yeah. All right.
Conclude?
Yes.
Go
But
ahead.
I was gonna say something about what you were saying earlier. You said something earlier. I might have to just like go listen to it again. But, fuck, damn it! I forgot what I was. I forgot. Shit.